was a nice intro, Kennedy. Way to go. I always love it.
Nicely
I like
done.
that music. That music was fun.
Commodore.
Commodore, longtime friend of the show. We knew that the show would work when we found that music because we spent all week looking for theme music. Is the hardest part of the podcast.
True.
Like by a lot.
Easy.
Yeah.
Theme music, hard.
Easy.
When we found it, it clicked. It just clicked. I remember that moment.
That's true.
Listen, we got a great show today. Obviously, lots of wonderful faces here today. First off, Aaron, so glad to have you. It is just a miracle, literally, that you're here and alive and with us today. And we appreciated you so much wanting to come hang out with us and, chop it up and talk about it a little bit. Obviously, we've been talking a lot privately and personally. Let's bring that out to the world a little bit. And Aaron, for all of you out there, if you feel like not safe for wonks, you're so mean, you're making Aaron stream already. Aaron was trying to get his microphone delivered to the hospital.
Yeah, I was until I realized that I cracked a couple ribs, so and one of my lungs is at half capacity, so I'm kind of breathless even right now. So I'm kind of happy I didn't do it at the hospital because I would have sounded very, very unhealthy.
The question that's been on my mind this entire time is, how is your mom?
Yeah.
Because if something happened to me, like I was just out on the streets chilling, and like I went to Grady, like she would be losing her mind. And you haven't talked like on Twitter or anything about how your mama react, but I know she was reacting to you that entire 2-week period.
Oh yeah, because my dad passed away a couple of years ago, so she was. I know that she was very worried about me, but she came visit me at the hospital like once or twice. They didn't really accept guests because of COVID, so she's doing it right now. She's feeling a lot better. That I'm actually sleeping. I'm at her place right now, staying there and sleeping in her lounge couch or chair because climbing in and out of my bed is not conducive to my health right now and healing. So she's looking out for me, man. She's good. Thank you for asking, Brandon. I appreciate that.
That's the first thing that came to my mind as soon as I saw the footage of that car. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Tripping. But I'm glad that she didn't like completely,
lose her shit.
Yeah,
me too.
I'm glad you have a mom to take care of you.
I know, me too. I love my mama. Shout out to my moms, yeah.
You say this, but I think the entire time Aaron was in the hospital, I kept texting him like, hey, do you need anything? Do you need me to bring you anything? Do you want me to bring you some Thanksgiving dinner or anything? Literally, like the whole time. But I had this moment where I was like, wait, let me take a step back. Am I mother henning you too much? Are you doing okay?
Rara actually did bring me something. Rara,
we know.
We
know because we all participated in that project. Don't you worry.
I was high as fuck, yo. I loved it.
I was trying to talk around it. I was like, no.
Can I just say I went to the wrong entrance at Grady to deliver all your snacks and stuff. And the entrance I went to had a metal detector and a bunch of cops at it. And I was like walking in and I was like, and I had like my knife and my pepper spray in my bag too. I didn't realize that would be a thing that you'd have to go through a metal detector at a hospital. And I was like, is this the guest entrance? I'm just trying to get something delivered. And they're like, what are you delivering? And I was like, cookies? And they're like, it's the other entrance. And I was like, oh, thank God.
We're all so proud that you made it through this. We're all so proud that you're still here. The king of posting through it and of potting through it.
Fighting people from his hospital bed.
Truly.
He's the hero.
No choice but to stand.
I will never again tell anybody that I can't post through it.
Yo, you have
no excuses. No excuses now.
Well, I mean, I didn't have anything better else to do, man, because it was either watch TV, like CNN for like 8 hours, and then fall asleep in and out of sleep, or it was just like, fucking post. So, like, I appreciate all you guys being there and helping me kind of get through the pain, man.
Yeah, of course.
Suck.
Hey, before we get any further into the show, we have another new face here that's never been here before, Jamie Peck. thank you so much for coming on for the first time. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody out there?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Well, where do I begin? I'm sorry. I'm a little out of it today because I was up late last night due to anxiety. And then I made the mistake of taking like a tiny bit of a pill at like 5 a.m. So now I am zanned out like Tandon, but I'm going to do my best on your show today. I am a producer and contributor at Majority Report with Sam Cedar. I am also a host of the ANTIFADA, which is a communist podcast that I do with 2 other people. And I'm a member of DSA.
Hell yeah.
Which is rad.
Awesome.
Most of us have done,
DSA.
at least here in Atlanta, all the Atlanta contingent are all DSA members. I was the chair last year. Rachel was the COVID committee response person. Rara was the membership secretary. Aaron is just a poster who's around all the time.
I mean, he's in the chapter.
Yes, Aaron. Like,
I've been in the chapter for like 5 years now, but
Listen, poster in chief is not a leadership position, but it should.
But it should be.
Very appreciated. We need more posters.
We can't have Aaron be the mascot. That's really problematic.
We're the unofficial posting caucus.
indeed.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've said I
founding
didn't
it
meet
today.
any of you guys when I was in Atlanta for the convention.
No, all of us were there. You just didn't see. We just didn't talk.
I was a
Because-
delegate and everything. I was yelling.
I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, me
We're
too.
not gonna go up in your face and be like, "Hi, well, what's going on?" But yeah, all of us were there. In fact, I had been in the organization like 3 months when the convention started, and they had such great catering. That was some of the best catering. That was some of the best catering I was ever had.
Important metric.
by
It's an
far-
important metric.
The best part of that convention, like not even close.
We got
Also
free
love
swag. We got some pretty cool cups and stuff out of that.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
still use my DSA cup. I don't know, man. I knew it was going to be stressful and horrible. I didn't realize how much it would be. And I'm sad I didn't meet any Atlanta DSA people, but I knew the 2 things that I had to look forward to were throwing a party in that really cool church bar with karaoke.
Yes,
everyone.
love church
With
bar.
I planned this party for my caucus Emerge, and we met all different comrades, especially a lot of people from communist caucuses all over the country, but really all kinds of folks came to the party, and it was awesome. And then I also got to be a guest on the Street Fight and Trillbillies show the next night, which was lit AF.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah.
Listen.
I would love to go back to Atlanta under funner circumstances and go to the Claremont Lounge with all of you fine people.
Yes.
Let's
Really,
go.
literally the happiest place on earth.
I was listening to an Antifada episode, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys need to use that Claremont Lounge typography and that great sign that they have." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And the Majority Report is also decent. All right, we hear you. Listen, Jamie, can you talk about Emerge, and can you talk about just like what y'all are doing in New York as a group, because it's really fascinating.
Sure. Well, Emerge is a communist caucus out of New York City. And we are sort of attempting to be a multi-tendency communist caucus because we agree on pretty much everything in terms of the praxis that we want to see in DSA right now. And I think most of us, I mean, I can only speak for myself here, but we may come from different tendencies on the communist left, but we all think a new synthesis of some kind or another is going to be needed in order to really unfuck the world and do the thing. So let's see.
Yeah.
We've got a pretty strong abolitionist lens through which we approach organizing. There are a lot of people in the caucus are involved with the defund campaign, but also all different other campaigns, because we need to be bringing abolition to every single area of our organizing if we really want to get it right. Oh, how do you spell the name? EMERGE, DSA Emerge. And we have a website where you can read some articles and position papers that we put out.
I'm always glad that we as a chapter have not yet had to do articles and position papers, but our chapter's evolving politically so fast that like this time next year we'll probably be like, what are they doing in New York? Let's start doing that. Because I mean, like, we're the largest socialist organization in the Southeast. New York, I mean, New Orleans does great stuff, and we always say like, what's New Orleans doing? Let's copy them. But like in terms of membership, we're number one. And we historically, and I guess New York has had this issue to a lesser extent, or, you know, places across the country have had this issue that are in DSA. How are we going to expand from this thing that was kind of a niche organization to like having to scaling and being something that reaches everybody? And it's not always like a perfect process, because there's so much stuff that like literally has to be physically built that other organizations have just had as part of their infrastructure for a really long time. But I think overall, like year by year, we're really doing it and really doing a good job on it. And the stuff that y'all are doing in New York in terms of like those city council elections, a lot of the stuff, I mean, you guys also held up, locked down some offices and stuff during the uprising over this budget. And we're also going after some people on the city council who voted the wrong way on the budget. So, you know, we take a lot of notes from what y'all are doing, both from a organizing perspective and from a promotion and media perspective. You do a good job.
Oh, why, thank you. Yeah, we've got some really talented graphic designers in our caucus. So the website, you know, even people who don't agree with our politics at all have to admit that the website looks great.
They say it looks dope. Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we're glad every single person. We're out here fighting for souls, Colin. So literally every soul that we get is a pro. It's good. It's great.
So Brandon, maybe we could talk a little bit about someone that the DSA is not going to take any nods from.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. I'm going to tease it. We'll take a break and we'll come back and talk about it. But like our DSA chapter out of nowhere, like has a quote unquote, like a beef with like a YouTube, a Twitch guy that,
a crypto fascist
that basically believes that the state of this runoff and the state of the world kind of depends on him promoting, like, you know, his brand or whatever for some canvassing. So we will talk about, for people who are like fans of Destiny, and you know, that's fine, and are like, why aren't you helping with the coalition that will deliver a Democratic Senate and save America? There's like a little more going on when you talk about like actual coalition building and who we're working with, not just during the runoff, like, but like after y'all have left and gone home. So we're going to talk like we're going to point out like some kind of obvious stuff. Listen, we're going to take like a minute. We're all going to like vape off screen. And then by the time that we're back, it'll be back to normal. Please enjoy the smooth sounds of Commodore 1983, who you can visit on SoundCloud, who has just tons of cool beats like this. And we'll be right back in a minute. And before we even get into this, before we even dig into it, we got a comment. By the way, if you're commenting on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, Periscope, wherever you're at, like, we can bring you up and we can just talk about your comments, which is cool. This is my first stream. Does it always go this hard? Rocks. We literally go this hard all the time. We're just that
even
damn
when
good.
Even when the cameras aren't rolling, just behind the scenes, talking to each other on Slack, we are like this. It's actually kind of compulsive and alienating outside of specifically this context.
Yeah, we're going this far all the day. Listen, Destiny is apparently online right now, so we may be relieved because Destiny's fans will not be brigading us. Because,
Let's raid him.
Oh my God.
theoretically,
I love it.
No, I love when crypto fascists show up and say I look like Abigail Shapiro because I'm the second Jewess they've ever seen. It's my favorite.
Destiny talking shit about Jack Allison? Come at us.
Yeah.
Don't you talk shit about Jack?
Yeah,
Oh my
Jack's
God.
fucking rad. Listen,
Yeah, his
please.
followers are
Jack
like
is a
a bunch
real
of his followers are trying to like
fanatic.
be horphobic at me and be like, who's gonna take advice from a communist stripper? And it's like lots of people actually. Almost 10,000 of them.
It seems like you're doing great.
I'm doing all right,
You're
actually.
watching this right now.
Don't come after Jack or Leslie because those guys are undefeated online.
Hell yeah.
I just saw a fire
I'm gonna
tweet
bring
from
it up. I'm
Leslie.
gonna bring it
Yeah.
up. You
I
were
saw that.
my
I saw that too,
God.
Jamie. I just saw that. I saw it
There's
earlier.
a secret episode of Struggle Session. But Leslie Lee, by the way, is on our Discord. So if you want to come vibe with us, we're on Discord. We're doing a lot of stuff. Anyway, there's a secret episode of Struggle Session that was never released because the guest politics were too bad. I didn't book them. I didn't know who they were beforehand. I called the show halfway through. The guest was Destiny. What's really funny is, like, we've had cringy episodes. We've had cringe episodes. We've never had a cringe episode where, like, we were like, we have to stop.
We've always got. There have been one or two episodes that we recorded and we were like, I don't think we'll
This is-
release this. This is
Yeah,
kind
this
of
is
cringe.
going in the Ark of the
Yes, it's
Covenant.
kind of
Yeah.
not cool. But
Yeah.
like, we've never stopped recording in the middle of a show because it was that bad. That's incredible.
Can I just say something to get into
Yeah.
it real quick? I want people to understand this, all right? I've worked for the Democratic Party for maybe like 7 to 8 years. I don't work for them anymore, but I've worked for the Democratic Party in 2 states, New York and Georgia. The Democratic Party is, what they call the graveyard of social movements, right? And for anybody at all that thinks that turning the Senate blue will, lead to any sort of even mild policy, progressive policies, like, you're fucking delusional, yo. You have people like Joe Manchin, right? Like Republican GOP light figures within the Senate.
Kristen Sinema.
Yes, Kristen Sinema, right? You also have Dianne Feinstein.
Yes.
You have people like Chris Coons, where it's like, yo, if you really trying to like go all out for John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, I don't want to fuck with you.
We've
Right?
seen this movie, and listen,
You've seen this movie, exactly.
and the
Not even
movie
to
is
mention, even to mention that the best case scenario we're looking at here is a 50-50 split, where if any of those shitty Democrats in name only of Sinema or Manchin, if any of those people are mad, they won't vote on it and it'll die. Like, the Senate is going to be inoperable, whether it's in Republican hands or it's in Democrat hands. There's no way around it. And Ossoff, I would imagine, would join the ranks of the shitty Democrats that refuse to vote unless we moderate.
We saw the Axios video. He doesn't support
Yes.
Medicare for all. He doesn't support a Green New Deal. He doesn't even support like stacking the Supreme Court. Why the fuck are you going hard for these people, yo?
Yeah, it's embarrassing to admit that we're even voting for him. Like, I feel like embarrassed that I'm about to fucking vote for this guy again. Like, it makes me sick to my stomach, actually.
I'm also voting for the guy. However, and this is like important, and we'll probably come back and hit this point harder. But Atlanta DSA is like we're the Southeast's #1 socialist organization, and we're in a city. And I think that everybody who's watching this and is like, don't you want to build bridges? Don't you want to bring this together? We just as an organization are in a city that's like a majority Black, a majority LGBT, like not literally majority LGBT, but one of the biggest LGBT cities in America. And when you talk about like the actual organizing work, that is bringing people out to canvases, that's bringing people out to events. And here in Atlanta, like, we have a mayor who committed to closing one of the central jails in the city, and then kind of backtracked on it or whatever. We have today, like, their city council, the phones are off the hook, and they've got to split their meeting into 2 meetings because we like built coalitions to bomb those people with calls. to physically, like, you know what I'm saying? And our opposition, or the people, or not even to say opposition, but the field in Atlanta is like a liberal idpol establishment Democratic Party world. So as we are trying to introduce people to anti-capitalist solutions to the problems that they are facing in their lives, the main issue that we are facing is just like, oh, you guys are all white people, which, by the way, isn't true. Like a third of the active membership are non-white. It's still like you can always do more, grow, be better, all that good stuff. But you guys have all lived online, and you know what the discourse is like online. We have miniature versions of that with people who are like extremely vulnerable people who live with those vulnerabilities every day and do organizing work with Atlanta DSA. And that's like a sensitive process. People and like get them involved with what you're doing. And we do the last, I would say, 6 months, this chapter's been doing a phenomenal job of that. So what you don't do is have a Twitch thread of all of the weird anarchists that don't like DSA city, and the idpol lives in your city that don't like DSA, to organize a Destiny branded event.
The anarchists who go hard for Biden.
Yeah, right. Right.
Please stop
There-
calling yourself
I
an
mean,
anarchist.
you
I
can,
don't
you
know,
can
man.
say Vosh.
There's
Say Vosh.
I don't
Go ahead.
I
Yeah,
don't
Jenny,
like it. I don't fully understand it, but there's definitely a liberal to anarchist pipeline that makes me uncomfortable. This is
I
why
mean,
you never go
listen.
full anarchist, people. Just kidding. I love anarchists.
Yeah,
Jamie,
so-
you, me, and Rara are like the ML leaning. Well, also Aaron are
Yeah.
like the ML leaning, and Kennedy,
I don't know
April,
about
and
that.
Rachel are more. Okay.
Yeah.
I-
I would say at this point, I am objectively an anarchist that has like deep philosophical differences with DSA. And also, if anybody else talks shit, I'll fucking end them.
Yeah, we
I will
know the
literally
actual.
like eat your
Yeah.
bone marrow.
Not all anarchists.
Yeah.
Very clear.
I was gonna say I love my anarchist comrades, but
Yeah, I do
I am
too.
definitely more. I am leaning more ML, but also there's just a lot of swerfiness on ML Twitter, and which is really breaks
Yeah.
my heart. So it's
Yeah.
I've found a lot more solidarity among anarcho-communists and the communists, honestly. So
Yeah, I would say that I am a communist with anarchist characteristics. Like, I fuck with Lenin. I fuck with all the different thinkers. I think they all have something to teach us. But, you know, when push, I'm deeply ambivalent about a lot of these debates too. Maybe because they
Yeah.
are difficult questions, or maybe I'm just a dumb bitch. I don't know. But I really think a new synthesis is needed. But yeah, I
Yeah.
have been very influenced by like anarchist and left com types. Communization theory is it's cool. I fuck with it. But I'm ideologically promiscuous.
We're never
Yeah.
going to find one ideology that'll solve everything. So we
Yeah.
should take evidence.
Yes,
Well, and it's like each
we're
ideology
not
has a
tendency
unique.
weirdos.
Each ideology has sort of its
Yeah,
own
Rachel, I'll do
like
something.
use case and unique application, right? Like it just depends on what goal you're trying to achieve, which methods you need to be using. The best thing you can do as a socialist, especially as a person who's trying to do socialism right now during this generation-defining catastrophe, is have a broad understanding of a lot of different strategies. Throw stuff at the wall, see what
Exactly.
sticks. The only way you can do that is if you have a broad base of understanding. It takes all of us. It takes all of the strategies, right? This is like Malcolm X. We need
Yeah.
a diversity of tactics here.
Indeed, indeed.
Also,
Absolutely.
if one of these strategies that from like 100, 200, 300 years ago was going to work, wouldn't it have worked by now? Like, I feel like we need to keep theorizing about
Yeah.
new ideas, probably. Like, and
Absolutely.
live in the modern era, not just be like, yes, this book from 500 years ago is exactly the
As
model of
explained human conflict. Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
But
And
I think.
to be
All right, go
fair,
ahead, Jenny. No,
to
go
be
ahead, Jenny.
to be fair to our great anarchist comrades, I think a lot of people like vote. Wow, I said his name. You know who I'm talking about. Might call themselves anarchists, but have they actually read Bakunin? I don't think so. I think I probably know more about anarchism than these people do, and I'm not even one.
Well, that's
As an
one
That's
thing.
what I'm saying. Stop calling yourselves fucking anarchists.
Yeah.
You clearly, this dude, none of these people have read anarchist theory. They just picked that up because it's like, I feel like for a lot of these people, it's like, it's a way of saying I'm a libertarian, but trying not to get in trouble for it.
Yes.
It's been incredibly
you know
fucking
what?
annoying, the corruption of the term, and I fucking hate it. Please stop calling yourself an anarchist, for the love of God.
It's kind of like that sort of stereotype that anarchists are the ones who show up at the protest and like start throwing bricks through windows and lighting shit on fire. Like that stereotype, while making us sound extremely cool, does not actually describe what the anarchist philosophy is. It's not intended to be destructive, right? Like the entire anarchist philosophy is centered around empowering individuals so that they can thrive, right? And it's about getting people into systems that are specifically and explicitly designed to keep power from aggregating on one group of people or one person, so that we end up having people who cannot get access to what they need, right? That's literally, that's the entirety of anarchist philosophy.
This is all very cool and very good. Go ahead, Aaron.
I just want to add one point too, to just kind of bring it back to like, you know, what happened this morning, right? Yo, I'm not being anti-gamer, right? And I'm a poster, right? I'm a poster, and I understand that. But this idea that these gamers have, that they're suddenly going to take what they do online and put it into the material world as organizers, I'm fucking sorry, dude. Like, that shit might have worked for Steve Bannon, and it might have worked for the whole MAGA movement. We cannot replicate that on the left. I'm sorry. Whether it's fucking Bosch or Destiny, yo, you need to stay the fuck online and stop trying to like take whatever it is that you have online, this clout, into the real world as an actual organizer, because that shit does not fucking matter when you're knocking on doors and trying to actually organize working class people, right, and address their like daily material needs. I'm sorry, we need to stop looking at these people.
Rara, I'm gonna get your comment, and then I'm gonna backpedal because we need to actually explain what the situation is.
Yeah,
and
what's going on?
Y'all are all getting into the discourse and stuff. Rara,
we need the discourse sampler first.
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to like media figures versus grassroots organizers and the overlap between them, like I consider myself both. Like I'm not a huge media figure. I just have like a somewhat decent following that I've cultivated of like mostly comrades and then a bunch of like random leftists online. But like I'm also an organizer. So like my priorities as an organizer is to direct people to the actual work that's already being done by other organizers and centering like their actual work, because I have not been around in organizing for a very long time. I've been in socialist and communist and anarchist circles for a while, but I know that I am not like I should not be the main focus in this. Like when I go and do organizing stuff, it's not to bring my brand and to bring attention to what I'm doing media wise. It's to follow the lead of the people that were there before me and that have been putting in the work for years and years. And I think that's more important. And I think the only thing like these guys are good for, like, you know, the extremely online Twitch streamer left, is to direct people to that work, not to try to lead it themselves, because it's like activists and organizers have spent years building this infrastructure, and you as a fucking, you know, media figure, it's just so fucking rude and disrespectful to the people that have done the work to just be like, I'm just going to go to Georgia and do my own thing. Oh, but if you're not on board for it, you're regressive and this means the left won't win. Like, it's just so fucking stupid, and it's so egocentric, and it's what I would expect of a bunch of people that used to identify as like edgelords and alt-right, you know?
Well, it's a cult of personality.
Yeah.
It's a cult of personality.
I want to provide for people who are just watching our stream today or just listening to a podcast or whatever they're how engaging. I want to give context on the actual situation. And our buddy Nate, who is, comes on the show like once in a while to talk about internal like issues in DSA, is the guy who was the point of contact for the Destiny thing, which is great. So Thread, I'm the Metro ATL DSA guy that dropped Destiny and allegedly sabotaged his canvassing operation. Here's why that's actually bullshit. And there are extensive receipts because we believe in democracy and everything's written. So November 28th, a Destiny staffer joins a YDSA Discord. He has to organize an event for the 5th. He disregards social distancing and wants to organize this event during finals week. He calls a YDSA officer and pitches it. So it's an event. Hey, let's just get some students to come on campus, and let's get a panel. Let's get Destiny as the host. Organizing, Smash tournament, bingo, etc. All seems, whatever. Nate, as a person, is like, hey, there's a pandemic that's rampaging. And if you know Nate personally, Nate is very sensitive about this because he cares about those kind of issues. So he's like, hey, let's chill out a minute and let's do, safety. So on the 30th, YDSA says not to have an event. It's finals week. So an officer tells him they're not interested. He presses them and says, hey, well, if YDSA can't do it, hey, let's do it with old DSA. And so they get this person's number because he's the coordinator for YDSA and old DSA. So a Destiny staffer calls, and you got to remember, this guy is not he's an excellent poster, but is also a person that's doing stuff all the time and is not on Twitch discourse. So, hey, we've got signups. We don't have a canvassing app. They asked New Georgia Project for help, which is a more liberal, organization. And, they weren't interested. And between us, just for the sake of drama, I believe NGP wanted some money, to pitch in for the canvas. And whatever the reason was, it didn't work out. So he says, hey, can Destiny come talk at an event, do some events with our van? Okay. Because for people who don't know, van is the voter registration database. National DSA spent a whole bunch of money to get van access and give it to, yes, exactly. And it gives a baby version of all of the chapters. So, so now the guy checks out, hey, who is Destiny? So for everybody that was oh, this was 2 weeks, listen, these were a couple meetings at 2 different organizations. So they say, who is Destiny? Everybody says, Destiny sucks. And the first video you see of the guy is him calling for the murder of BLM protesters. So listen, there doesn't need to be.
We don't have the audio.
Yeah, we don't have the audio, but he's basically calling for shooting BLM protesters.
Yes.
Nationalist militias specifically.
Yes.
If that
Not
what it is.
unfascist of him.
No, not at all.
Super normal. Really, really normal. Just every Twitch streamer does this, right?
I just want to point out too that people were saying, because I tweeted that video out and people were saying, well, you should have heard what he said after. And I'm like, motherfucker, it doesn't matter. If that clip is the most watched clip of his whole argument, then it does not fucking matter what he said afterwards, yo. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
It literally doesn't
Context
matter.
that could save that.
There is no because if we were to do that thing, then there's some disgruntled person, rightfully disgruntled, by the way, not a weirdo, but a rightfully disgruntled person that's Atlanta DSA. And by the way, we're the socialist movement in the city of Atlanta. Yeah. That is a growing movement that is working, over hurdles, some good days, some bad days, just trying to engage the larger movement in the city. That's what our work is. And to become a citywide movement, and to become a multi-rate, all that good stuff. Y'all all know the deal. A coalition-based movement that people say they want to do. How are we, as the left-wing organization, going to be this is good because it's important to elect Asaf? So I want all of y'all to think not about, because this is what the Destiny take is, that world is it's important to win these Senate seats. But I want people who are here and in the chat, and I know the chat's blowing up and we're not bringing up everybody just because we're trying to talk about this, to think about the movement after the election is over a month from now, because these are not numbers. There are real human beings that are involved in it, and they are people who we want to work with in the future. what is our relationship like after this Twitch streamer from Nebraska has left, and we are known as the organization that supported that statement? And you got to remember also, hopefully I'm not eating up too much time, but like, where were you when Rayshard Brooks was killed? Because I had put together, and I'm not saying this is a flex, but just as a statement of what I was doing in Atlanta at that time. We were doing an abolish police seminar in Candler Park that got 200 people there who were libs and talked about how their families were right wing and didn't understand the idea of police abolition. And so we, for like 2 to 3 hours, were up there in not like Zoom breakout groups, y'all, not like Twitch break, but like as real people, broke this 200 person meeting in the park into groups, and all of us talked about not even necessarily abolition. NK, someone on our staff will send you the link to the room, and you're free to hop on for a little bit. But we're like literally talking about these ideas with actual human beings. That was the night Rayshard Brooks was killed, and literally I was with Rara. This isn't like us doing a bit for a story, but literally we were at her apartment the night that infamous Wendy's burnt down because of, so are we supposed to, like with those people who we got out there and organized with, because we didn't set that whole event up ourselves. We talked to like LGBT groups. We talked to Snap and printed out, by the way, at our expense, their pamphlets and stuff and made them some stuff. And I think, Rara, you were there with me at Office Depot when we went to Office Depot and helped print out this stuff just to show solidarity because their rep wasn't there. But like, yeah, can we, with a straight face, go to those organizations that hit the streets that whole summer? Not one day, y'all, not like one Twitch panel, but every day we're out here marching. We're supposed to tell them, oh yeah, it's cool for us to vibe with that particular dude because of the Senate election. Y'all want to talk about pragmatism?
Yeah, I want to hear from
why that's pragmatic.
I want to hear from Jamie real quick. What Jamie, you think about this whole like, you know, gamer influencer versus like actually going out there and talking to people and organizing in the streets? Because this is you are an influencer.
You do both.
Like, you do both. So
all of us kind of do both.
I mean, part of why I've remained a DSA, even as I've gotten more busy with my career, is because they are two completely different things, right? Like, organizing is not the same thing as talking into a microphone on camera. There's no instant gratification. There's no ego involved in organizing. You have to listen to other people, you know, even when some people are cranks or annoying or whatever. Like, I'm just sick of all these people who have all these fucking opinions who've never organized shit in their whole entire lives.
Right.
Yes.
But
right.
Like, yeah. But
I will say, here's how you can tell that he has never done anything, not even shown up to these things, right? Because if you are even cursorily involved in the kind of organizing that we're all here doing, if you even know the people from having done the work, you would have seen how badly brutalized your friends had gotten at these protests. You would have actually seen firsthand how ugly and terrible this is, and you would not for a second be saying that they should just get shot.
You know what?
Well, because you don't know anything.
Say. You know what they say about liberals, right? Scratch a liberal, a fascist, please. Destiny is not a leftist. He's a lib who got scratched, and now everyone can see.
Even beyond any of this, where is the evidence that allying with Destiny would have produced anything, any sort of material results? Like, just as an example, you want to know who he supported in the primaries? Fucking John Delaney. He supported in and of itself. I'm not kidding. That in and of itself proves how ineffectual he is.
You do not know political strategy.
I will also say
John Delaney was a meme in my house that we laughed about for like 7 months straight. That's amazing.
If that doesn't
Wait,
show
hold
you,
up. What were you saying, Jamie? Go ahead, Jamie. Real quick.
I'm
Jamie,
okay.
April, and then I'll intro the new this. Jamie,
I
go.
have two points I wanted to say on this. So
Mhm.
like,
Go
yeah,
for
I think we have a pretty low bar of who is a leftist, right? Like, oh, you did a YouTube and you said you're a leftist, so now I have to be nice to you. No, fuck off.
No, fuck
If you
that.
want to say your bad opinions at me and have me have to be polite to you, come to a fucking meeting. Join DSA at the very least. Like, do something in the real world. Also, I'm like really sick of these fucking debate lords who think that any of this is going to be lost or won arguing on
Fuck them.
Twitter or on
Word.
YouTube or whatever. Like I actually retweeted a good thread from my friend Marvin the other day where he said, you know, the working class is not a sleeping giant that has to be awakened by saying the right words. It's not a matter of persuading individuals by having the best arguments. You know, the working class as a political entity needs to be built via working class institutions and via long-term class struggle. To think that it's about persuading individuals is just it's a liberal point of view, and it's nonsense. So like when people want to concern troll us about like defund the police as a slogan or whatever, like we're selling a fucking product, like we can just ignore them because they're not that important, and that's not how we're going to win defunding the police.
Right.
April, it's your world. You're on mute though.
God damn it, I'm sorry. As I was saying before, just it really shows the political instincts and the political impact of somebody that supported Delaney in the primaries.
Oof.
Like, this man has never talked to a single person who makes less than $100,000 a year, except when he's debating them and slagging them on Twitch.
Kennedy.
Even if we got into, even if somehow for some reason we ignored all the comments and got Destiny involved in this race, he would have zero impact. I can fucking guarantee that. What pull would Destiny have in the real world to get John Ossoff elected? Like, every single stage of this is just awful and would not work and will do nothing.
Kennedy.
Can
Aaron.
I just want to address one point before we also Nate is here, so I think we should introduce him too. But I want to bring up one thing that Jamie said. I made a tweet about this the other day too, where people think that, like, you know, organizing is like every working class person is like a dormant, like sleeping Bolshevik, and only if you can you know, like fucking like fix them like a Rubik's cube that you can unlock like the revolutionary within. No, motherfucker, that's not the way that it works. The bourgeois class realizes themselves as a class, right? Working class people need to realize themselves as a class. And that doesn't come from winning arguments from door to door. That comes from prolonged struggle is what happens, right? Mm-hmm. So this idea that you're suddenly going to have a debate with somebody and convince them, like Vosh loves to do these fucking debates. These bread tubers love to do these fucking debates. Who is that for? Yo, you think shit like that works on people like my moms? Or will work on grandmothers?
No.
Or would work on like anybody at all that is not terminally online? No.
Well, and the reality is these people don't understand that as much as politics carries aesthetic components, when you're actually organizing, you have to have social skills.
Yeah, listen.
And they're never going to put that together because they just don't have social skills.
Listen, and it's a learned helplessness in that area, right? Because it doesn't come naturally to most people to talk to strangers. You just have to try. You just have, like, everyone's all alienated and atomized, like just staring in their little fucking boxes. That's the spectacle. That's the world that we live in. And it takes effort to break out of that. But like, it's not like you can't do it if you try.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, you know, pro wrestling content. I mean, Kennedy, you've done some debate me, you've done it. But Kennedy,
I debated the Italian fascist on that one stream.
Who was really like a Jeb Bush conservative.
He was just a lib. He was just a lib is all he was. I just want to say, you know, you don't have to be an organizer to be like an okay or good person. Like, you don't have to bust you out. You could, if you just want to be like a goofy video game streamer, like, that doesn't make you a bad person.
No.
But you got to realize your damn place when you're coming to a state and talking to orgs of people that are on the ground there all the time. It is not them that need you. It is you that need them, period. Like, you need these orgs and you need to respect them. Like, you want to just be a goofy video games guy on the internet? Fucking go for it. But don't assume that you know better than political activists if that's your shtick.
Yeah.
Listen, I would love to give more of my own takes, but Nate's here. Nate dropped in at the last minute. You are the author of a thread that is going viral as we speak. First of all, how does it feel to get a W on Twitter for once? You've been posting in obscurity for a long time.
Yeah,
buddy.
no, I mean, normally
I know. Come talk about how's it going and what's been happening on the timeline.
Yeah, so this is just pretty wild to me because like I felt like this was like no big deal when it happened, you know, like it really blew up into like a way bigger thing than I thought it was going to be, because essentially like we started hearing yesterday, you know, that I guess Destiny said like offhand on some stream about like how we'd set them back like multiple weeks in their ability to canvas, which is just crazy because like, first of all, they reached out to us essentially because they had and said they basically said. So I was talking with one person who I guess was like staffer, like an assistant to Destiny, who had originally reached out to the youth chapter of DSA at Georgia Tech. And was trying to put on an event, and he was like, let's do a Smash tournament right now in person. You know, we just need to turn out as many people on campus as possible. And all the students were like, what the fuck? Like, we're all, you know, social distancing. Like, we're not going. We haven't been doing any on campus like events or meetings, period. Like, all the stuff is on Zoom. We're doing like remote online advocacy. So they were just totally not down for like any kind of in-person event. And they didn't even realize like that this guy was problematic. They didn't even like, know much about him. They were just like, sounds great, but we're not going to do any in-person event. Thank you, TR.
Nate, Nate's hair and mustache game is extremely good.
Yeah.
And if you're watching,
It's
you know this is a
fantastic. We
fact.
love
We
it.
love it.
For everybody watching, just so you know, there is a fan club for Nate's mustache. I am the president of it. DM me if you want in, because I am always down to talk about how great and perfect Nate's mustache is.
All right, Nate, go
It's
ahead.
been really effective. It's been, I gotta say, objectively, I've done experiments. It's very effective.
You saying Nate Mustache Caucus?
Effective at what? Yeah, let's move on.
Canvassing.
Listen,
Look and
PR.
fly. Duh.
Yeah, you can see it a lot more if you come knock doors with us this weekend. You know, join DSA at dsausa.org/join.
Don't do that yet. I know you're a company. Listen, if you're starting a company, hire Nate because Nate is all about repping the brand. Before you squeeze your plug in, finish your story.
Okay, so yeah, it was like basically they had reached out because there was some member that was like a fan or was like in the Discord or something, and they were like, we really want to work with college groups, and they like reached out to college Democrat groups and got like no response because all the college Democrat groups are like dead and don't do anything. And so they reached out to us because they're like, oh yeah, we see DSA doing a lot. There's a lot of volunteer energy with DSA. And the YDSA chapter is basically not interested, and they gave them my number. And so he called me, and it was basically, it looked like a situation where he like did not have any kind of like plan for like the canvassing. They just had all these like signups. They had all these people, and they wanted to like get them canvassing, but they didn't know how. He said he was like trying to get together Nation Builder, which is like sort of an off-brand like van voter database thing. It's not off-brand. There's Republicans who use it. But like the most common thing is Van. And so like they like, you know, he was like, oh, I want to, you know, get people canvassing, but I don't have lists of voters. You know, I didn't want to like, but he said like, I don't want to like pirate voter data off the internet.
Sure.
And they just wanted, and so they went to New Georgia Project and said, and tried to like get help from them to like get actually like lists of voters, because when you canvass you need to have a list of like where the actual registered voters are. You want to be able to like record their data, so that the point isn't just talking to people randomly off the street. You want to go specifically to the young people and people that are less likely to vote to like remind them to vote. You don't want to be canvassing Republicans. You want to like figure out and get data on where the voters are so that you can follow up with them and send them text reminders like, hey, did you submit your absentee ballot request yet? Or like remind them, you know, when early voting starts, stuff like that. So he was like, you know, we don't care, you know, about keeping the data. We just want to, you know, make sure we're sending our people someplace, so that they reached out to New Georgia Project, who apparently were like, yeah, we can partner with you if you pay us, and presumably to like pay for staff time and like managing the events and shit. And they were like, we're not going to do that. And so New Georgia Project just ghosted them because they were like, we're not going to set up like events for you for free.
New Georgia Project is probably
Right.
the org, if they really, wanted to do that, is the org they should have found the money and given it to them, and actually pay some of these people that are doing the work that they claim is life or death and have been doing it for the last 4 or 5 years in the city. What is what is the thing that's stopping you as a successful Twitch streamer? Find the means. Go ahead.
For people who don't know, New Georgia Project is probably the organization singly most responsible for Georgia flipping blue. They've been doing amazing work here for the last decade, actively trying to push electoral politics in Georgia. So when you piss them off, when they ghost you, yeah, that's, you've lost. If you can't get in with New Georgia Project, you're not going to make it, period.
Yeah. You're insulting the left for being bad coalition builders.
And that was the coalition
you liberals can't even keep your shit together. What the hell?
Yeah.
Seriously, man.
Listen, I just want to add, that's the other thing. Get it
Redistribute your wealth, motherfucker.
Yeah, and there's no
give us
contribution.
Destiny money.
New Georgia Project and Fair Fight and all the Abrams groups, they're doing independent expenditures. They could easily just pay them. But the thing is, they're they're not actually here to win the election. If Destiny actually was I just want to, if the primary goal, because we've had conversations about this within DSA about what's the primary goal? Is it to just empty our bank accounts so we can elect John Ossoff, or is it actually are there longer term goals about advancing a Green New Deal, Medicare for all and stuff? So with Destiny, it's clearly the ultimate goal is not flipping the Senate. The ultimate goal is try to recoup some amount of legitimacy to Destiny and his brand by being able to say oh wow, everybody thinks it's brave and noble to be canvassing in the Georgia Senate runoff. So he's trying to tag along and be the face of it partially, and be able to get some credit for the work that's being done. But you clearly can't just fucking fly in here from Los Angeles and then just start a canvassing operation, because they don't have the fucking data. They don't have the technology to do it. They don't know where the fucking neighborhoods are that they should be canvassing. And the people that do know that are New Georgia Project. DSA is doing canvassing, but we don't have we're nothing. We're great. Everybody should join.
We're getting there.
Also,
But we're a volunteer organization.
It's the gentrification of organizing, honestly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and
speaking as a Southerner, we have had enough carpetbaggers come through this town. We're good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you think he
Wait, hold on. Go ahead, Jamie.
did this on purpose because he knew the DSA was going to say no?
Here's
attention?
Let's not give him that much credit.
So I think what happened was this staff guy. I'm trying to not put him on too blast.
No, don't blast.
The people who are, I guess, in the know with Destiny will easily figure out who he was. He it sounded like he was having trouble getting actually canvassing lists together. And even when he was talking with us, he wasn't betting, putting all their eggs in our basket. We made no guarantees about it. I literally was when I talked with him on Wednesday, I said, I gotta check with the steering committee and people first. And then I called him back in 2 hours and was like, hey man, sorry, not gonna work out. It's not like we betrayed him or anything. I think this dude just kept trying to call people to set up canvassing because he didn't know how or didn't have the tech or whatever. And he needed a way to tell Destiny why it had been 3 weeks and they didn't have canvassing data yet. And so he was like, oh yeah, the DSA set me up and betrayed me, and that's why.
Oh God, I hate how plausible that is. That's probably what happened.
The reason why people believe, when they are on Twitter, and Jamie, you're somebody who knows this, just any rando can just be like, DSA, they've ruined my life, they're so bad. It's because they think that we have the politics of Destiny. People are just I don't know, they're just a bunch of pros over there at DSA. And it's frustrating as hell. Myself, and everybody in this room who's worked with me this month knows this. I have been putting together stuff for the Trestle Tree Tenants Association. And, it's tenant organizing, and I made a viral video or whatever. And a housing organization that's been doing the Trestle Tree campaign was just hey, whoa, slow your brakes there. And they were quibbling over something background footage being from a different campaign, which, okay. And you can I obviously on a personal level, after I made a large investment, I sat there and, worked with the people who are like the actual tenants, but it's their campaign. So like out of respect to them, I kind of slowed my roll on this campaign, because when we're doing this work, and I know that a lot of people in the chat are like, it's the Senate, the fate of the universe is on the line. But like this thing with the Senate is not the last battle. And we do so much work so that we cannot be like, I'm a podcaster. I have 12,000 followers. Everyone must do I can't. You need to build coalitions. I'd be like, all right, well and so I get their numbers and I call them, and it takes a little while and we work it out. And in fact, Wednesday we're doing a fundraiser with some of those women, helping them do other stuff that's organizing around like some of the issues around housing and poverty that face like working people in Atlanta. If you tune in Wednesday, you'll get to meet Miracle Fletcher, who's one of the coolest, dopest people that I've ever fucking met, that's out here fighting their landlord and doing fucking organizing down in the heart of Atlanta. Literally like is a Black disabled fucking mother. And is in like
badass.
Is in a fucking desperate fight against her landlord. And that's the kind of shit that we as a chapter are doing all the time. And I would say for people that don't know, what are you doing? First of all, we are doing canvassing around the elections. I don't think Destiny's fans understand that. We are doing stuff around cash relief for people. We're doing stuff around stopping Loeffler and Perdue, who are both incredible scumbags. And Nate can probably talk about the details of the People's Bailout campaign that we're doing. We're also doing winter drive, mutual aid. We're trying to get people like clothes to survive the winter. We're doing dark, which has been an incredible. They're just doing canvassing.
Wait, Brandon, give me
down. Go ahead,
Brandon. I just want to ask before you go. I just want to ask Nate a question and make a. So one of the things is that it feels like a lot of these people were was it 100 or so of these people were like Destiny fans, right? Which,
not even 100.
Well, how many was it? So did they have, what kind of training did they have, right? Because we're talking about how this debate culture is not conducive to building class consciousness, right? Even in my mention, while we were talking, I'm looking at my mentions where somebody's like, you're not giving enough credit to gamer culture and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, how about you focus on people's workplaces and communities, because we're fucking socialists, right? You focus on where people work and where the fuck they live. Nate, what kind of training did you glean that these people had besides this idea? Because my idea is, if you knock on somebody's door and who normally wouldn't vote, right, and ask them to support a John Ossoff or Warnock, the first thing they're going to say to you is what is this motherfucker going to do for me, right? Which is a fair assessment. So what kind of training did they seem to have? Any training at all when it came to canvassing, or are they just going out there and telling people to vote Ossoff and Warnock and potentially getting into arguments with people because they don't know what the fuck they're doing?
Yeah, so I can talk about. I'll first say what DSA is doing, what they wanted to do with DSA, and then I think what they're actually doing now without us. So we had our first canvas on Saturday. It was kind of a low-key thing. We had 10 people. It was fine. We knocked a couple hundred doors. And we went out. We had literature that was basically talking to people, saying and we had some discussion in the chapter about what sort of political line we should take to the elections. But we're basically talking to people and saying we aren't endorsing Warnock or Ossoff. Not really talking about them as candidates, but saying we recognize that if the Republicans hold the Senate, stuff getting another stimulus check, or even the theoretical possibility of passing a Green New Deal or some kind of green infrastructure program, or being able to pass Medicare for all, it's just totally out of the question, because the Republican senators will just literally procedurally block everything if they have 51 votes in the Senate. So but the key things are stuff like the immediate relief to working people that I think the vast majority of people, if not all working people in the United States, would benefit from, which is a $15 minimum wage, which Joe Biden and most Democrats have already signed on to passing, and that could pass if the Republicans lose the Senate, as well as another stimulus check, which the Democrats are already like ceding ground on, because I think they're anticipating not winning, the Senate. So we've been knocking on doors basically saying like, hey, what would you do with another stimulus check? The Republicans are going to be the main obstacle, like help us vote them out so that then we can fight for the COVID relief that working people deserve. So that's what we're talking about and trying to focus it on issues and have like a positive message to it, and just asking people like, hey, how are you going to vote? Are you going to vote by mail? You're going to vote in person, like giving people the dates and stuff. So there is like an amount of training and like knowledge you got to have to go in there. We're not trying to debate or fight people. This kind of like online debate style that Destiny and other streamers do is like not, what you do when you canvass people. If you run into somebody who like disagrees with you, your job as a canvasser is to say, all right, have a nice day, and immediately leave, because like we have a limited amount of time and we want to be shoring up our own supporters,
Right.
however kind of like however much online that might be dismissed as like living in a bubble or whatever. That's actually what basically all political campaigns do. You never want to debate somebody. The vast majority of people are not going to be debating you. They're going to be totally like unmotivated about the election. So to bring it back to what they're doing, they have no canvassing.
I just want to say Destiny's going to go to one house and just that's it. Like he's not gonna make it past one house.
I think so.
He'll just get stuck debating there, and he'll never leave.
He's gonna sleep. He's gonna sleep the night on the couch. I
feel bad for that person.
Photos or videos of them with like literature or like handouts. Like I haven't seen a picture of Destiny or any of his people like at a door. They met up at like Piedmont Park. And I think that like they don't have minivan, and I think they don't have an app or like a canvassing like lists of voters or any way to like log response data. I think they're just getting a bunch of kids together, maybe giving them like a handful of, maybe they're giving people flyers, maybe they're not, and they're just telling people like just go down the street and talk to everybody, or like go walk on the sidewalk and talk to people. I don't know, I wasn't there.
So this literally has the effect. This literally has the effect of a fucking text message or an email that I get that I ignore immediately, right? Like, and that's what like what pisses me off is like, because even right now I'm like, there are people in my fucking mentions like going off about like this tweet where I was like, I don't understand why someone who plays video games for a living should be a qualified organizer, and people are like, oh, why are you judging what people do? And like the gaming, I'm like, first of all, it's an inherently reactionary culture, right? Like that's just straight the fuck up. I'm sorry, you could be a gamer, but
No.
I mean, bro, you're not going to be the fucking, you ain't going to be the vanguard, bro. Like the gaming culture is not going to be the fucking vanguard, right?
Capital G gamers.
Yeah. And it's like,
I'm sorry, Aaron. I gotta say on this one, you're wrong. You can't be a gamer. Being a gamer is bad. It is a bad thing to be.
I like to play video games.
I
right?
do too, but I'm not a freaking gamer because they're bad to be.
Well, hold on. So the only revolutionary potential that the gamer culture has is everybody remembers Gamergate. And you know who threw their lot in with Gamergate and these gamers? Steve fucking Bannon, right? Because he looked at these people and before he got on the Trump campaign, he saw an opportunity. This is an inherently reactionary culture. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not shitting on these people. I'm not shitting on their hobbies or what they do for a living, but that's not how you build class consciousness on the left, yo. Like, we need to do away with this fantasy, right? That we're gonna have, like, especially because you want to get to young people. Dude, what about young people who don't play fucking video games, right? What about young people who are not extremely online? How about you go to their communities and their workplaces? Let's stop pretending that people like Destiny or Vosh are actually doing positive things for the working class. They're not. Like, they are not at all, yo. Like, I mean, even the fact that it's just, go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, so don't come at us and tell us we're dividing the left if we're just mocking an internet narcissist. No, I was going to ask, because I do think it's interesting that the DSA actually did do some canvassing against the Republicans, which means for the Democrats. And I wanted to, just because every DSA chapter is different and, you have to adapt to conditions on the ground. But what is the strategy here with connecting that up to a socialist horizon? Because I've heard many ideas on both sides of this issue. And I tend to be a little more anti that, but also, I've had to synthesize a lot of liberal ideas into my politics because I work at Majority Report. So sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe that's a good idea.
We need to talk about what's going on over there. But I will not, like, listen, I'm a regular ass member now. but I will just give you my report on what I think the politics are right now, which is that's like a kind of a liberal city. Not maybe as bad with their liberalism as places like Portland, but a city that has a really good understanding of oppression, because this is a city that has like a deep pre-existing culture of activism. And there are like other organizations that exist like in town. In terms of like, how are we reaching out? Are we doing something? Well, the Republicans are in our city, the city of Atlanta. The Republicans are deeply unpopular. Brian Kemp's one of the least popular politicians in America. Kelly Loeffler literally like is committing fraud and doing insider trading during a pandemic that's ravished mostly like Black and Latino communities in Atlanta. And although it's been devastating everywhere. So as an organization that's just trying to expand our reach across the city, being anti-Republican is a message that everyone is interested in. And because there's a unique amount of media attention, like in the next couple of months, consensus in Atlanta DSA that we will look a little weird if everyone in town is talking and working around these, and we're not doing anything.
Well, it's like I say all the time on the stream, when you talk about politics in the South, you have to talk about the stranglehold the bourgeoisie have had on it literally since slavery, right? There is a class of people in the South who have been entrenched since plantation days, who have had all of the power for hundreds of years, and we have been slowly chipping away at their death grip for literally 150 years. This is not like fast work. We are not playing on an even field. Like, we have the worst case scenario every single time we have to organize anything. So the fact that right now we have maybe even the tiniest shred of an opportunity to shake their grip a little bit, anybody who would speak against that has a fundamental misunderstanding of Southern politics and how to organize here and what to do strategically here.
I think that just organizing around issues specific.
No.
No. Oh no! Am I here? Am I here?
Great take.
We're back.
Okay.
Great take.
Panic. Okay. So a lot of the people in Atlanta are maybe more left-leaning than they know, because the Democratic Party has been how they have thought of politics. So organizing around like specific policies, like housing, like rent, like checks. When the Democratic Party doesn't quite fit that gap, you have a great political education opportunity. But there are a lot of people who are like, oh, they seem, these Democrats, they seem, and also like Rachel pointed out, there is like a right-wing hegemony that's existed in the city for a long time. So they think, hey, we've got to survive underneath the right-wing hegemony. So I think that these policies, like policy-based organizing, represents an opportunity to radicalize.
Yeah. I guess, that is an argument that I've heard that I find somewhat persuasive. I think the left has a tricky task before it, right? We saw this in the Bernie campaign, trying to organize two different groups of working class people, right? We've got working class people who believe that the Democrats protect their interests. And then we've got, I think, a larger and poorer group of working class people who just don't vote because they don't think it's going to do shit. And usually they're right. So how do you engage those two groups at the same time? It's a delicate line to walk, and I'm impressed with everyone who's trying to do it. I think one of the more persuasive arguments I've heard, maybe, I don't know, I'm agnostic on a lot of this stuff.
You tell us your opinion. We're not going to jump you. Like, listen, I'll tell you, this is your first time on this show. But like all of us, like, we're talking about Majority Report. Like, one of the reasons why we do YouTube content is because, like, we saw you and Michael, like, on YouTube. And, like, we were like, this is a great community. This is a great model. And you guys reached out to a lot of people who were hearing these ideas for the first time. And we were like, if they're doing this kind of thing, we can do it too. And that was the meeting that we had like 4 months ago. So we definitely want to hear like, how do you want to do this?
Oh, that makes me feel super good. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
I'm starting my own
Report.
thing.
Yeah, you go on Majority Report and they beat up on you all the time. And you like take it and figure it out and you navigate through it and you still manage to get your points out. But it's still kind of a hassle sometimes.
Well, I'm doing my best, man. I'm not a fucking debate lord, I gotta say. And like, I don't think it's not a skill that I really respect. Like, sorry. So, you know, it does get exhausting after a while when everything I say is treated like, I don't
Like
know,
comedy.
I'm a fucking libertarian or something. Because I'm like not good in that format, and it's awkward for everyone watching. But, you know, I remind myself sometimes, because I put a lot of pressure on myself to represent the left on this show, especially now that Michael is not with us anymore. And I just have to remind myself, that's not how we win, actually. And if one day I get sick of it, you know, it doesn't mean that I've failed, because it's actually the least important thing that I do in my whole life as a leftist.
Your work has, I mean, inspired like a lot of us to do like the kind of work that you're doing. And Rachel, I mean, you were here with us. Like, I went to your house and you had a charcuterie board and we talked about some of these same issues. So like, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I remember back, this was like 2 years ago now, you and I were talking about sort of future directions for Metro Atlanta DSA and what we wanted to see happen. And one of the goals we had was to create a big platform for politicians or for political organizers in the South to talk about ourselves, you know, because we had been hearing this rhetoric for so long, like, we need to just let the South secede. Like, we need to just give up and stop trying to save these people. They won't stop voting against their interests. And the entire time we've been down here, like, we're right here.
Liberals a year ago were trying to organize a boycott against our state. Alyssa Milano was streaming on Twitter when this abortion ban passed, talking about boycott Georgia. And people that were
like, to tie it together even further, Destiny at that time was saying he did not want to move left; he wanted to move right. Let's just remind ourselves of that too.
Jesus fucking
he
Christ.
only became a leftist again.
What a
because
disaster!
it's cool right now.
Right. Well,
Rachel,
so to wrap up the story, we decided we were going to build this giant platform, and Jamie, we looked to you for how to do this, right? Like, we intentionally used your model, and also, nice, it worked.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
We did it.
We're here.
Way to go, Brandon. We succeeded at our task.
We did it.
Nate. Oh, go ahead, Jamie.
I'm impressed. Well, one thing I'll say, I guess maybe the silver lining to all these grifters trying to do like vanity canvassing and, you know, get clout from being associated with leftist politics. I mean, it shows that we're winning on some level, right? If that's an appealing thing that people think is going to get them somewhere.
Nate, listen, I want you to talk your stuff. We're doing a lot of campaigns in town. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I was just going to say, earlier, I think Jamie brought up like basically what is sort of the socialist position on the U.S. Senate elections and like what Atlanta DSA is thinking. So I do want to note that Atlanta DSA like is not doing this just because we think the Democrats are great and nice and dandy folks. You know, there's actually been a lot of debate lately in the chapter about electoral politics and stuff. And I mean, the chapter voted like pretty overwhelmingly to not like critically support Biden or issue some, you know, like statement about that. Or and I think the vast majority of members, you know, don't think that we can take over and reform the Democratic Party, but rather like supportive of the vision of just like, you know, building independent political infrastructure and sort of basically working outside of the box. And a lot of like DSA nationally has tried to move outside of basically this box that's imposed on us by the capitalist like legal electoral system, which says there's only two parties, you got to pick one, and your only thing you can do is vote for a Republican or vote for a Democrat. So like we understand, you know, that's not the only option. What we can do is, you know, canvass ourselves. We can build our own sort of political machinery that's accountable to working class people and not, you know, this weird capitalist like donor network and all these fundraising schemes that really make up the Democratic Party. So when it comes to like the election in Georgia, you know, we have no illusions that the Democrats are going to like, you know, be the magical saviors of the working class, or that if the Democrats took power in Georgia, you know, that we would actually see, you know, the COVID relief or like the, you know, reforms that working class people actually need. But right now, the Republicans are like the face of the capitalist system in Georgia. People are dissatisfied with the way that capitalism works, and David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler and Brian Kemp are the face of that. And, you know, we say all year round, like, fuck Perdue, fuck Loeffler, fuck Kemp, like they're all shitty people. And just because it's election season doesn't mean that we somehow need to stop saying fuck Brian Kemp because there's also a Democrat around. So us being oppositional to the Republicans shouldn't be viewed as like a tacit endorsement of the Democrats, because our intention is, hopefully the Republicans lose, and then we can start harassing John Ossoff about why he needs to sign on to Medicare for all, because he's an option
I
Medicare for all.
would love more reasons to bully John Ossoff. Please give them to me.
Yeah, that is one thing. Okay, I've heard a few arguments on this level, and some of them are more persuasive than others. But like the idea that maybe we'll elect some Democrats and it'll make the working class slightly less immiserated and put them in a strong position to fight. That's not fucking happening. Sorry. But I think something else you just brought up might be a little more convincing, which is to say, for the working class people who still believe that the Democratic Party represents their interests, we need to show them that the Democrats are not their friends. And you can't do that unless you have Democrats in power, right? So I know it's a delicate line to walk too, because you don't want to, if you're going to canvass against the Republicans, you basically are canvassing for the Democrats, and it can be a tricky line to walk when you've got like a very short conversation with someone to say but these people are, they're neoliberal deficit hawks, and they're probably not going to do that much for you, but you still should vote for them because Republicans are worse, But I see your points are valid. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'll note that I've gotten through, we went and canvassed. I didn't say Ossoff or Warnock's name at all. I didn't talk about them as candidates. There's ways to talk to people and just say, wouldn't it be nice if we had a second COVID check? These people that are currently running, hate COVID checks and they hate you. So fuck them, go vote against them. Make sure you know when to vote. And I think a bigger thing is, not this sort of game theory about things will get marginally better if the Democrats are in power. I think it's more about socialists need to be seen as the common, we want DSA and socialist organizations to be seen as the common sense organization of the working class, where if somebody looks around at their current situation and they're like, wow, my landlord sucks, my boss sucks, the government sucks, what should I do? DSA and other socialist organizations, I think DSA should try to be the obvious choice for people. And so if people see oh wow, these Republicans suck and they're terrible and they're the source of all bad in the world, and they come to you and ask what should we do about these Republicans? We don't want to hem and haw with some really long speech about the neoliberalism of the Democratic Party. We want to be yeah, you're right, they fucking suck. Also, the Democrats aren't going to be good either. But sort of come along, we will, we are also in opposition to, this thing that's really bad for you. And sort of leading with that Republican suck message is kind of a key way to get people at the door to not look at you like you're some kind of weird alien that's wasting their time. Sorry to be frank about it, but yeah, people need to know that, we're not, that we're on their side, and that we're not somehow pro-Republican with our criticism of the Democrats.
Nate, you got to go, right? You got other stuff to do?
Yes, I do have to go.
Get out of here, Nate. Get out of here. It was good to have you on.
All right.
Get out of here. Bye.
Get out of here, Liz.
Get out of here. Aaron, what's up? What's your feeling on this entire dirty break discourse?
Well, there was a comment that somebody had made a while ago that I've just been thinking about. And this is, again, I just can't get over this whole, because there are people again, that are saying that, well, gaming could be a conduit to, this is not my idea. Somebody said this in the chat. If your politics are around forming an identity around consumption instead of issues and ideas, I have nothing to fucking say to you. I have nothing.
Yep. That's
right?
Depoliticization.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I am. I'm upset that this whole thing happened today. I think it raised my blood pressure.
At a time where you don't need any extra pressure on your ribcage.
Yeah, I know. It fucking hurts.
It's so annoying that we even have to talk about it. It is kind of funny, and it's a fun break from doing the work to dunk on this fucking shitlord from YouTube, but it doesn't matter.
No.
TLDR, it doesn't fucking matter.
No.
And if you think it does, then you're a fool.
Never mistake internet pugilism for actually doing the work. This is entertainment. What we're doing is propaganda.
Well,
like,
listen.
Yeah,
we're trying to make this look cool so that you'll listen to the actual stuff and show up for the actual things later.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing here.
This is not our praxis for the week. Don't worry.
No.
Yeah.
Thank God, no.
We're actually
selling
doing
you
shit
something.
outside of here. Like we're not just posting. Like there's stuff going on outside that we're doing.
Yeah, for every praxis that you do, you earn one shit post, and I think you've all done a very nice job.
Hell yeah. Listen. Because this has been I would love to do listen, I would do this for 2 hours. I wouldn't care.
Absolutely.
However, Jamie, before we started, you were hungover and tired. Now you're fired up because you're maybe in like a crowd of people who like you and like your politics.
I've gone full Nara. You can't stop me now. I'm like sailing on pills. I could talk for hours. Like, we just need to expropriate the bourgeoisie because they're really racist and they're really bad. And I love you. I love you guys.
We actually need one more thing from you. Talk about this.
Oh yeah. So we're kind of in soft launch mode right now. We're starting a Twitch/YouTube channel for the Antifada, and we're gonna be doing a stream tomorrow around 6:30, I believe, with our boy Aaron, because he's just determined to come back even stronger than he was before, no matter how much pain he's in. He's a fucking hero. So everyone can tune into that if you want to watch.
Hell yeah, it'll be good, y'all. Y'all should tune into it, please.
If you liked this, you're gonna like that.
Yeah, that's right. Word.
We make good stuff.
We've got a Patreon. Like,
yes, thank
our
you,
Twitter followers. Our followers are like,
I know our followers. They're better than us because they know that sometimes we just won't promote.
Yeah.
Like we're very bad. We're like leftists who hate money and business and promotion and marketing, and we've had to try to do our best. But thank you everybody so much for tuning in. Let me do just a little bit of that promotion before we all slide out of here. We are Not Safe for Wonks at NSF Wonks on Twitter, Not Safe Media on YouTube, patreon.com/notsafe if you want to contribute. This is 100% independent media, and it's funded by lovely viewers like you. Don't forget to tune in Wednesday. We are going to have a very exciting stream with Miracle Fletcher. It's going to be all about housing justice.
Oh my
really
God,
important shit. We are going to talk about fighting your landlord.
Hell yeah.
And we're going to talk about merch, notsafemedia.com/shop. I think we'll get you to our shop. We have a shirt. It's Capitalism is Cringe. Our producer can pull up that page that's got our Capitalism is Cringe shirts and sweaters. We've got like a tacky Christmas sweater that's just so dope. And we also have a normal looking. Hey, Rachel, you made that actual graphic. So
I made both of them. It's just like a geometric print. It's very sort of throwback 90s style. If you're like into vaporwave, you'll like this kind of thing. The Christmas one is deep fried. And I had to explain to the printer that the artifacting was on purpose. And I felt so bad for her because she was trying so hard to warn me, like, hey, this is going to look really pixelated. Are you sure? And I had to be like, yes, the youths are into this thing called deep frying now.
Yeah, and you can pre-order that and we'll send it to you. We'll put it in the mail. They're cool shirts. They're all cool. Just go and...
We got more merch on the way as well.
We do have more merch on the way.
I need to get one of those for Christmas prom.
That's right.
I have a little Christmas prom Yankee swap where we all wear prom dresses and ugly Christmas sweaters for some reason. My friend had a dream about it, and now it's a tradition. And we're like in a constant competition because my friends are very competitive to see who can have the best sweater.
You're gonna win.
2 things. Number 1, you're gonna win. Number 2, we'll just send you one. Like
thank you. I'll totally model it for you on a day when
Thank you.
I was gonna say not for free. You owe us a post when you get it. But yeah, that sounds super. Okay, listen, I would love to sit here and do this for another hour. But
can I make a plug real quick?
Yes, of course. Aaron, what do you got going on?
Real quick. So tomorrow I will be on Jamie's The Antifada. I'll be on that stream as well. So check that shit out. That'll be a lot of fun. Also, our sister podcast with the Antifada Trillbillies, the latest member now. So check that shit out. And my own podcast, The Time of Monsters with Not Safe for Wonks. You can check all that shit out if you just go to my Twitter page and do the linky clicky thing.
It gives me such a warm, fuzzy feeling every time you guys call us your sister pod because we love you so much.
I feel that deeply. I felt that before Terrence even said it. Like I was like, yo, like years ago, I was like, I love these two podcasts. So like,
Can I get a little near a tangent on everybody? And okay,
we're not doing that.
I sincerely, there was a long time where I was like, oh my God, am I like alone in this? Am I completely insane? Like, am I seeing the world wrong somehow? And doing this work, getting to know people like y'all has actually like unironically restored my hope. Like, and it gives me the sense of like, okay, good. I'm not alone. There are a lot of really great, really smart, really empathetic people who are fighting as hard as they can to stop this train. And it seriously, actually, sincerely restored my hope that things could get better.
Come back tonight.
I love you. I love you so much.
Come back tonight.
Literally crying.
Here.
Oh God!
It's incredible.
Are you crying because you love us, or are you crying because of the Nira stuff that you're taking?
Y'all can't make me laugh too hard.
I don't know.
They've all blended together. Listen, come back tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Minecraft Monday. The gang at Psychic Dolphin Garage. We're gonna play Minecraft, and I will be there. And also, if you're a fan of the show, Circa Flynn will be there. Virginia, just out here repping the South. An extremely southern person, extremely southern leftist.
That's right. See, it's okay. It's okay to stream video games. See,
yeah.
We're
like,
doing it later. Come by, watch us instead of Destiny.
If you,
I have actually a plug real quick too.
Oh,
okay.
Really
Wait. If you like the Trillbillies, you will love Circa Flynn because Virginia politics are literally just as messed up as Kentucky politics, and her stories are just as messed up. You'll have a good time. Rara, who's literally just one of my best buds. Rara.
Hey, you're one of my best buds. Well, I haven't been streaming a whole bunch lately, mainly because I just have a really hard time focusing lately on anything. I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat, and I'm also just working a lot. But I do have a Patreon for the podcast that I do and also for the stream. It's patreon.com/hotgirlagenda. I'm going to put it in the chat. We are a stream and podcast, and I was doing a weekly stream, but it's been more like once every 2 weeks now. And I think the next episode is just going to be like a makeup stream where I sit around and chat about stuff. But I also have a podcast within a podcast called 5 to 9 Podcast, and it's about and for sex workers. And I run it with my good friend Simone, who is an escort up in Seattle. So yeah, please subscribe to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and leave a review because that's really important too.
We need to spend this month getting everybody who's doing this Apple stuff, because Aaron, you've been like, I don't want to get into, but you've been doing really well on the Apple podcast world. So I'm
trying. I'll be back this week. Actually, I haven't recorded, but I'll be back this week with the comrades from Know Your Enemy, Matt Sitman and Sam Adler-Bell, talking about the elections. So that should be fun.
I love that. All right,
you got an Apple device, review those shows. Also, on the subject of podcasts, really fast before we get out of here, our audio show is back. It's back.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
Y'all have been waiting so patiently. It's back. It's back right now.
Right now.
Still coming out.
I had so much
That's
fun
it though.
making it.
Goodbye.
Get out of here.